Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Gopi Jai Radha Madhava Kunya Vihari Jai Gopi Lava Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Shubhavam Samadhanaya. Astatara Sata Sri Srimad A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swāmī Maharaj and Prabhupada ki. Jai Shubhavam Samadhanaya Gajaya. Astatara Sata Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada ki. Go Premanandi. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Śrimad Bhāgavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 24, the renunciation of Gārdava Muni, text 37. Esha Atma Pato Vyakto. No verse on the screen. Nastakalena Bhuyasa. Tam pravartaitum deham imam vidhi maya pratam esha atmapato vyakto nastakalena bhuyasa tam pravartaitum deham Imam vidhi maya bhutam Esha atmapato vyakto Nastakalena bhuyasa Tam pravartaitum deham Imam vidhi maya bhutam This Atmapata, path of self-realization. Avyakta, difficult to be known. Nashta, lost. Kalena bhuyasa, in the course of time. Tam, this. Pravartayatun, to introduce again. Deham, body. Imam, this. Vidhi, please know. Maya, by me. Vritam, assumed. Translation. This path of self-realization, which is difficult to understand, has now been lost in the course of time. Please know that I have assumed this body of Kapila to introduce and explain this philosophy to human society again. Purport. It is not true that Sankhya philosophy is a new system of philosophy introduced by Kapila, as material philosophers introduce new kinds of mental speculative thought to supersede that of another philosopher. On the material platform, everyone, especially the mental speculator, tries to be more prominent than others. The field of activity of the speculators is the mind. There's no limit to the different ways in which one can agitate the mind. The mind can be unlimitedly agitated, and thus one can put forward an unlimited number of theories. Sankhya philosophy is not like that. It is not mental speculation. It is factual. But at the time of Kapila, it was lost. In due course of time, a particular type of knowledge may be lost or may be covered for the time being. That is the nature of this material world. A similar statement was made by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Sakaleneha mahata yogo nashta. In course of time, the yoga system, as stated in Bhagavad Gita, was lost. It was coming in parampara, in disciplic succession, but due to the passage of time, it was lost. The time factor is so pressing that in the course of time, everything within this material world is spoiled or lost. The yoga system of Bhagavad Gita was lost before the meeting of Krishna and Arjuna. Therefore, Krishna again enunciated the same ancient yoga system to Arjuna, who could actually understand Bhagavad Gita. Similarly, Kapila also said that the system of Sankhya philosophy was not exactly being introduced by him. It was already current, but in course of time, it was mysteriously lost, and therefore he appeared to reintroduce it. That is the purpose of the incarnation of Godhead. Yada yada dharmasya galanir bhavati bharata. Dharma means the real occupation of the living entity. When there is a discrepancy in the eternal occupation of the living entity, the Lord comes and introduces the real occupation of life. Any so-called religious system that is not in the line of devotional service is called adharma samstapana. When people forget their eternal relationship with God and engage in something other than devotional service, their engagement is called irreligion. How one can get out of the miserable condition of material life is stated in Sankhya philosophy, and the Lord himself is explaining this sublime system. Translation again. This path of self-realization, which is difficult to understand, has now been lost in the course of time. Please know that I have assumed this body of Kapila to introduce and explain this philosophy to human society again. Om Gyanachirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmiritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How transcendental knowledge, which originates from beyond the three modes of material nature, how it can be lost is very mysterious. Until you fully understand the potency of the material energy, which does not destroy the transcendental knowledge, but like a prison, it gets in the way and distorts the perception, the understanding of the pure transcendental knowledge. Sometimes when devotees hear the verse Bhagavad Gita, Sakalenaha Mahata Yoga Nashta Parantapa. O Parantapa, Arjuna, slayer of the enemies. I spoke this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita before, but it became lost, and therefore I'm here to speak it again. So sometimes devotees think lost means like the books were lost, or the scrolls were lost. No, to be lost means the crystal clear meaning, purport, as it is becomes lost. Or no one can find the clear meaning. The same thing as lost. It's not that the knowledge disappears. It's just that the material energy puts up so many barriers, so much fog, that you can't see your way through the fog to get to the treasure of bhakti knowledge. Just like I remember wanting during my university days to study Bhagavad Gita, because I heard it's a text about love, the ultimate love of God. So I was on a quest to find the love supreme. So I arose early in the morning to try out this class taught by a world-famous professor, still world-famous, teaching Hinduism. Even though the class met at 8 a.m. and students like me always had a rule, never take any class before 11 a.m. I still made the supreme sacrifice and woke up at 7:30 to dash out for an 8 a.m. class to study Hinduism. So, the first day of class, the professor, the world-famous professor, gave us the assignment. I want you to read a section of the Upanishads and write an essay on what you think it means. I said, I got up so early in the morning just to have someone tell me I should speculate. I can do that any time of the day, especially at night, 2 a.m. in the morning. That's when most students would go to sleep, 2 a.m., get up 10 a.m. So I said, I don't need any professor to tell me to speculate. I said, I'm not taking this course. I will go to the university bookshop and get the whole reading list and read the books on my own. So on the reading list were these very academic-looking, very dry texts like Yoga, Immortality, and Freedom. Sounded like a catchy title, but when I flipped through the book, it was just so dry and so devoid of any life. And then there was Bhagavad Gita. I said, Okay, at last. So I bought the books on the reading list, dropped the course, didn't enroll in the course, and I looked at the Bhagavad Gita, which was by one Englishman, his rendition of Bhagavad Gita, with the verses in the front and his commentary in the back. So I flipped through the book, right to the commentary in the back, and I read something that I think Krishna saved me from reading such a concocted version of Bhagavad Gita. I read in his purport, Krishna is a concept meant to satisfy both the intellectuals and the sentimentalists. I thought to myself, what is this? What does this British colonizer imperialist know about the native people of India's book? That's the mindset of students back then, down with the empires, down with colonialism, down with the imperialists. So I said, just see how this Anglo-Saxon colonizer has destroyed ancient native wisdom. So something in my heart told me, take this book and trash it. So I just into the rubbish pit. And I said, one day I'm going to find a real translation of this book. One day. So that's an example. Here, at the highest academic levels, no one understands Krishna, the speaker of the Bhagavad Gita. Although Krishna refers to himself so many times, so many words, so many verses in Bhagavad Gita refer to yoga, or the derivatives of the word yukta. But some people think that Bhagavad Gita is not connected to the yoga system, when actually Bhagavad Gita is the completion of the yoga system. So this is how even pure transcendental knowledge can become lost. So Lord Kapila is telling Karma Muni, please know, I have assumed this body of Kapila to introduce and explain this philosophy to human society again. So, what does it mean when Kapila Dev says, I've assumed this body? Impersonalists will say, aha, Brahman has taken on a material body. No, assuming this body means the body is eternal, but now you can see it. The spiritual form of the Lord is eternal, but now he's making it visible to ordinary vision. Of course, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be right before your eyes, and you may not recognize what you're looking at. That's why Shastra tells us that during the presence of Krishna himself, very few persons understood who he was, even though they could see him. Many thought he's the most powerful human being on the planet. Others thought he's a Devāmrta, he's a demigod. Very few understood that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What to speak of understanding that he is Svāmī Bhagavan, the original form of the Lord. So something can be right before your eyes, but unless you have knowledge, unless you know what you're looking at, you won't understand what's right in front of your eyes. You won't know the value. Just like you take the most precious gem and you put it in the hand of a 4-year-old child. What will the 4-year-old child do with the priceless diamond? He'll try to swallow it or throw it here and there, leave it on the floor and go play with something else, because the child has no understanding of what's right before the eye, in the hand, in the child's own hand. If you're going to understand Krishna, you need Krishna's mercy. Otherwise, As Lord Kapila Deva is saying, this path of self-realization is difficult to understand. Difficult to understand without the help of Krishna and Krishna's devotee. So even the greatest scholars, they think Krishna is just a concept that appeals to those with religious sentiment and those who are intellectuals. Sometimes academics become very upset by Prabhupada's purports in which he says, what do they know? What do these academics know? One so-called expert in Bhagavad Gita at one of the state universities of New York, he commented in one of his books about how outrageous Bhagavad Gita as it is. Why is Swāmī Bhaktivedanta always pointing out to bhakti? Why is he always spotlighting Krishna? Krishna's the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, by the way. Why is he doing this? I don't understand. But he showed that he had read something of Prabhupada's Gita, because he said, I don't understand, I don't accept that, I guess I'm just licking on the outside of the bottle of honey. You know where he got that from. So this deluding, bewildering potency of Krishna, Naham prakasha sarvasya yoga maya samavritam. I don't show myself to everyone. I don't let everyone understand me. We're not the masters of our perception. If Krishna doesn't want you to understand him, he covers you over. Or more particularly, his illusory energy blinds you. Just like you can think of yourself. If someone's inimical to you, if someone has malicious notions of you, you don't reveal yourself to that person. Excuse me, even though you're my complete enemy, I'd like to tell you all my confidential truths. You won't do that. That's part of personalism. Krishna is the supreme person, Adi Purusha. That means the original person. So, part of personhood is that those who are not qualified are prevented from understanding you. Understanding Krishna. Every gentleman functions in that way. It's not that you go out on Skirmahorn Street and stop one stranger after another. Excuse me, I'd like to explain all about myself. You'll never do that. But if someone proves themselves to you that they have your interests at heart and they're very favorable towards you, then you start talking about yourself. So Krishna, as a supreme person, has an energy that blocks the vision of those who are not qualified. That is the thankless task, as you know, of Maya, to vet persons who are approaching Krishna. What is your real motive? So just like a top executive has staff, personal assistant, secretaries, whatever they're called now. So not anyone can just barge into the office of a top executive or the mayor. Not everyone can do that. There's a staff that checks you out. So Krishna, being a person, has a staff. That's Maya Devi. She prevents unqualified persons from approaching Krishna. But for the bhakta, who takes shelter of Krishna according to Krishna's instructions, Krishna can be understood. Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Only by devotion, Krishna says, can he be understood. People can take that as some kind of sectarian exclusivist statement. Why only bhakti? Why is that the only way to understand Krishna? Because Krishna is a person, and he's entitled to present the path by which he can be known. Just like if someone wants to know you, I said they want to know Gopal Champu. They just don't bang on the door of his room and, I want to know you. No, they ask, how can we learn more about you? How can we understand you? And if they do some service, like make his temple service, facilitate his temple service, then he naturally becomes inclined. Or if you talk to someone that's close to him and please that person, then that person will reveal knowledge of Gopal Champu. Oh, by the way, the best time to talk to him is 5 p.m. in the evening. And be very nice toward his fiancée, and then he'll think very nicely of you. That's the way the world works. Why not with Krishna, who's the supreme person, Adi Purusa? So we have this streak in us, big streak of impersonalism, in which we don't really accept Krishna saying, only by devotion can I be understood. First of all, we think, why should I understand Krishna? I have so many other things that are more important. So many other things to understand that are more important in life. Not only why should I understand Krishna, but why is there only just one way to understand bhakti? One way to understand Krishna, and that's bhakti. Why? Why not anyway? This way, that way, whatever. That sounds like real spiritual life, whatever, you know. This demigod, that demigod, Brahman, this, that, whatever. Whatever way you like, as long as it doesn't involve surrender to Krishna. We'll do anything, we'll believe anything, as long as it doesn't mean to acknowledge we are subordinate to Krishna. So we seek out spirituality, religion that allows all the options we have in our mind, and then say, okay, this is the royal road to self-realization or prosperity. And you can look and see. You can study and see. This is not working out. People are bewildered spiritually and materially. They can't properly organize their societies. Economic uncertainty, political instability, environmental collapse. Yet everyone knows so much. The science of Krishna is so necessary, not just for going back to Godhead, but also for the prosperity and well-being of the material world. Queen Kunti points this out in her prayers. Krishna, please don't leave Hastinapur and go to Dwarka. Without you, the earth will no longer prosper. Right now, the earth is graced by your footprints, which bring about such prosperity. Nature is graced by your glance, and your glance produces the oceans full of resources, the land full of resources. But if you go, everything will be like a dead body in which the spirit soul is gone, and therefore the name and fame of the body will soon be finished because the spirit soul is gone. It'll be like that for us. It'll be like that for the prosperity of the world if you leave. So even for material sanity and well-being, you need Krishna. Although a real devotee does not worship Krishna for material benefit. Still, what does Shukadeva Goswami say in the beginning of the second canto? Akama sarvakama va moksha kama udadati. Whether you are full of material desires, free from all material desires, or you just want to get out of the material world and that's it, engage in devotional service. What you're hearing about in this chapter is a very organized system for human progress. Everything is prescribed. Everything is delineated. And that's why Kardama Muni is leaving home. He's following the system, even though he has the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his home as his son. This is difficult for us to understand in the Wild West. In India, there's still some semblance of tradition and orderliness in life. You get married at a certain age, and then you do this, then you do that, and then you give your parents grandchildren, and this and that and the other. And there's still some semblance of markers in life. But as we said the other day, in the Wild West, all markers are thrown out the window. Just whatever you feel like doing at the moment. One difference between the East and West is that one devotee in Mumbai told me this. I like to repeat it. In India, you're always worried. What are others thinking of me? What are they thinking of me? What's my reputation? And in the West, you don't care what anyone thinks. You do whatever you want to do. What do I care what they think? Right now I feel like this. It's me. It's my life. I don't care what my parents think. I don't care what my spouse thinks. I don't care this, I don't care that. I'm doing what my senses dictate right now at this moment. That is freedom. That is liberation. So therefore, when you read about Kardama Muni following through the whole system, his father, Lord Brahma, had ordered him to create progeny, and so he did it, even though he was a foremost mystic yogi. He had 9 daughters, and then his son was Kapila, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So now he's about to leave home, because that's the system. He was a brahmachari first, then he was a grihastha, and now he wants to leave home and become a renunciant. But he has some concern about his wife. How is she going to spiritually progress? But that concern will be dealt with by Kapila Deva. And Lord Kapila Deva is going to tell him, don't worry, as the son, I will enlighten my mother. You can now leave home freely and roam the world thinking of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the core of your heart. I will enlighten Devahuti with transcendental knowledge. So everything is systematic. So indeed, Kardama Muni could leave home with no worries. He was concerned how Devahuti will make spiritual advancement, because I'm leaving home. But he left her with a son who was no ordinary personality. He left her with a son who was a Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Kapila Deva says, I will instruct her. You can go in peace. So the beauty of such an organized system for human behavior and human progress really teaches you what a genuine human society is all about. How to make spiritual progress as the overarching goal of everything. So Kardama Muni was very progressive He moved through all the phases of life in a responsible way. And now he gets his reward for doing that, for moving through all the phases of life in a responsible way. He can now freely roam the earth in solitude. That's what he wants. As one purport explained the other day, Gautam Muni is an Atmanandi. He's not a Goshthayanandi. He just wants to wander alone and think of the Lord in his heart. So the Lord Kapila gives him the blessings. Yes, you may go. Go in peace. And always think in the core of your heart. Always think of the Supreme Personality of God. And Kapila is declaring his mission. I've appeared for the purpose of re-speaking once again this philosophy of Sankhya. How to disentangle yourself from material existence and attach yourself to the Supreme Personality of God. I'm here to reestablish this real Sankhya knowledge. Any questions? Yes. Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. You were just raising the microphone. No questions. Maharaj has a comment.
I would like to know when this has happened, which yuga, which kalpa. Because Lord Chaitanya, Krishna said that 5,000 years ago he spoke about that. We lost Sakalina Mahada Yoga. So I wanted to know.
I don't want to speculate, but I'm quite sure it's such a yuga.
Kalpa.
Oh, you want me to know the Kalpa? I'll leave that for your class, Maharaj. You want to know what day of Lord Brahma? I don't know what form of life I was in then. Anything else? Yes, Gopal Shampoo Prabhu.
I was thinking, you were mentioning how Maya Devi is the agent of Krishna to really vet the people that are trying to come closer. So it seems that, Maya definitely knows, but how do the devotees know?
Know what?
If someone is actually genuine, sincere in their endeavor. Because externally they may be performing all the activities, and the nice tilak, the perfectly folded chadar.
On the left shoulder.
Left shoulder. So how do we actually know this is a genuine person trying to become closer to Krishna, reveal to more knowledge to them?
You look at their investment in devotional service. Sustained investment in devotional service. That means they're sincere. Even there may be some slip due to past bad habits, but if they go on trying to serve Krishna, that shows sincerity. So it's not just by the decor, the costume. Look and see their heartfelt, energetic investment in devotional service. Just like the famous Jayananda Prabhu. He never had any titles, big titles. He wasn't a sannyasi, he remained a brahmachari throughout his devotional life. But everyone was so attracted to him because of his service attitude. But he had no rank. He had no stripes on his sleeve. But he was so dedicated to devotional service that everyone understood he was such an advanced devotee. So advanced that Prabhupada spoke about him so lovingly, hearing of Jayananda's departure. Anything else? Yes.
Yes, Maharaj, I have another question. You were saying that as a child, may not know that he is carrying a diamond in his hand
Yes.
and the value of a diamond. And then we also have heard the example of you having a child touch fire, and yet the fire will burn.
Yes.
It's like the contrast is how to understand that he is carrying such a beautiful opportunity, the Supreme Lord in his heart. He may not understand his in devotional life. He may be wandering around the temple room, doing some little thing. I understand that also he is benedicted by the Lord, but he doesn't know he's carrying the Lord. He's sitting in the Bhāgavatam class. He's innocently hearing the transcendental vibration of the holy name, the voice, the sound of the Bhāgavatam verses, and so that we understand he's been purified. But then you give them another beautiful analogy. He may be carrying a diamond, but what is his benefit?
Even though the child is hearing sound vibration of kirtan, Bhagavatam class, and doesn't know what he or she is hearing, still there is benefit. But the child doesn't really understand what's going on. But the parents, even though the child doesn't understand, the parents have the responsibility to surround the child with transcendental sound vibration. So whether the child recognizes or not the value, the diamond, still it's the job of the parents, the responsibility of the parents to provide a spiritual atmosphere for the child to grow up in. Otherwise, don't be a mother, don't be a father. That's what Lord Rishabdev said. As far as touching fire, that example is given by Prabhupada to show that ignorance is no excuse. You may know about the power of Maya or you may not. But if you interact with the illusory energy, you'll get burned. Just like if you're a little child and you stick your hand in the fire doesn't say, oh, you're a child, I won't burn you. Karanam guna samgusa sadasa joni jangusu. Everything happens by our contact with material nature, no matter what age we are. Because actually no one's innocent. Everyone has previous lifetimes, full of previous material desires and karmic reactions to experience. So there's no such thing as an innocent child. That may be what's behind your question, that there's some thought of childhood innocence. There's none. At the right time, as the child's body develops, the seeds of karmic reaction become manifest. You can remember probably how peaceful your life was before 12 or 13 when you realized some things. You remember how peaceful life was. But you can't say, oh, I'm an innocent person. No, they're the seeds of karma just waiting for the right time to manifest, to sprout. So therefore, our only protection is to take shelter of chanting Hare Krishna, take shelter of devotional service. Because not only do we have to deal with the darkness of Kali Yuga all around us at the present moment, but we have to deal with reactions from our dark activities in the past. So it may seem impossible. How will I ever become Krishna conscious? But that's how powerful the holy name is. extinguish more quantities of sinful activities than we can commit. But of course, we should never think to commit sin on the strength of chanting Hare Krishna. So therefore, our only hope is chanting Hare Krishna. Otherwise, you have a right to think, it's too much. My past karmic activities, reactions, and then then this life, I gotta cope with this life's desires. Too much. But if we aggressively take shelter of chanting Hare Krishna, we'll certainly make spiritual advancement, even in this dense darkness of the age of Kali. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare
Devāmrta Maharaj ki
Hare Krishna. Hare. Maybe you